Welcome back to the Better Zone. 21st of March, Sunday morning. We have a 10-game NBA slate to break down, and we will get right into it. I'm going to speed up the process a bit. Next week is our final week without MLB, and the plan is to go through on all the NBA slates in 15 minutes after that, and I will talk 15 minutes baseball. So that's the plan from 2 weeks from now, and the season finally starts. So yeah, we will get through all of these big slates in 50 minutes. I will kind of skip the least interesting games, and yeah, I have to just speed up the process a bit as I'm talking way too much on the worst games of the day. So we will get right into it. Indiana Pacers at the Miami Heat is the first game of the day. Line is Heat minus 3.5 on Bet365, 4.5 at a couple of other shops. This is a rematch. First game was played 2 days ago. Miami closed as a 4-point favorite, and the Pacers won by 27. It was the biggest outlier game of the season for the Pacers so far. They put up 136 points per 100 possessions. They shot almost 70% effective field goal percentage, and they had a 35% offensive rebounding. All of these stats are close to their best through the season. So yeah, I'm not gonna get involved with this game. I mentioned this 2 days ago that my line was Heat minus 2.5, so I show a small edge, not so small to be honest, at 4 on the Pacers here. But this spot is a bit worse for the Pacers as they play in Milwaukee tomorrow. So I would guess if the Heat start strong, they might end up punting this game. Also, overall, I think the matchup is still favoring the Heat by a lot, as the Pacers are attacking the rim at a super high rate, second highest rate in the league, but they are only 21st in efficiency, and the Heat are a firmly top 10 defense in the paint. In the first game between these two, the Pacers put up 43% of all their shots from the paint, but they were extremely efficient. Which isn't the case usually. I don't think it will be a case when this game is played again. And on the other end, Miami putting up the sixth most threes in the league, and the Pacers are allowing the fourth highest field goal percentage from downtown. Well, in the first game, the Heat were shooting 29% from three-point range, while the Pacers were shooting 55% from three-point range. So yeah, basically the Heat had the worst day ever, and the Pacers had the best day ever. But as I said, I don't think it will repeat. Heat are also drawing the seventh most three throws in the league, and the Pacers are giving them the eighth most. I just really think this is a good matchup for the Heat, and the first game was a bit of an outlier, but I show an edge on the Pacers, so I'm going to stay away. Next game, OKC Thunder at the Houston Rockets. Rockets are laying 3.5 points. That's from Bet365, although it's almost 4 right now. My line is 4.5 here, so not a lot of value left, but you can still find smaller spreads at a couple of shops. I think the Houston Rockets will get the W here. They did lose 19 straight, tying the NBA record for most losses in a row. So if they lose tonight, they will set a new record for 20 lost games in a row. I don't think that will happen. They have everyone back in besides Gordon and KPG, who just picked up, Kevin Porter Jr. picked up an injury not too long ago. So yeah, Houston will have Wall, Oladipo, and Wood back in. Their three best players. This is the second game for when all three are available. On the OKC side, they won't have SGA, Beasley, Horford, Hill, and Maladon. I think those are 5 of their 6 best players. So it's an incredibly big downgrade for OKC here. My line, as I said, is Houston minus 4.5. If you can grab a cheap money line, I think they are the side. I think you can even parlay them up. They simply don't have one a player who is as good as either Wall or Oladipo or Wood, and I think these are three super good players, and neither of them will allow to Rockets to drop 20 straight. That's super embarrassing as a player. And as I said, I mean, OKC is not a great team to start with. They are grading as the 29th best offense in the league, and they are missing most of their decent NBA level players. So yeah, I think Houston tonight gets their W finally. New Orleans Pelicans at the Denver Nuggets. Super interesting matchup. I will surely watch this game. I'm leaning towards New Orleans at 6. Although my line from my model is between 6 and 6.5. So if something, I show a slight edge on the Nuggets. Nuggets will be without Harris and Morris, and the Pelicans are without Redick, and Lonzo is questionable. Pelicans are coming in on extra rest. They lost 7 of the last 10 games, while the Nuggets won 8 of the last 10. So teams kind of going into different directions. But if you look at the matchup, we know that Denver lives and dies when it comes to their rebounding. If they don't out rebound you, they are in deep trouble. And the Pelicans have the highest offensive rebounding percentage in the league. They also draw the 6 most free throws. If you check the other side, the Denver's defensive rebounding is just league average, and they are 12th in free throw rate allowed. So I think the Pelicans will be able to get the offensive rebounds, and they will be able to draw the free throws. They also get to the rim at the highest pace in the entire league. 42% of all their shots are coming from within 4 feet of the rim, and they have a 65% average field goal percentage, while the Denver Nuggets allow a 69% field goal percentage from within 4 feet of the rim. That's the worst in the league. So we have the team with the best offensive rebounding, attacking the rim at the highest rate in the league against the team who's allowing the highest field goal percentage in the paint and around the rim. On the other end, the Pelicans' defense is pretty bad. They grade 28th in points per possession through the season, but through the last 3 weeks, they grade us 13th, actually better than Denver. And they are allowing the 4th lowest field goal percentage on mid-range shots. That's what Denver is favoring above everything else. So I think overall, I hate the New Orleans Pelicans. I hate what they are doing. They aren't a good team, but I think this is the right matchup for them to keep this one close. And the 6, I would be leaning towards them, although, as I said, no number edge for me, and I won't be playing this. Boston Celtics hosting the Orlando Magic. Boston laying 8.5 points, leaning towards 9 a bit. Actually, my line here is 9. But I know that my rating has most of these Orlando injuries baked in, as they have been missing their key players for a super long time. And basically, the team's rating is as low as it is, as they have been without their key starters. And mainly, we are talking about Fournier and Gordon, and both are back, and both are coming off probably their best game of the season when they beat the Brooklyn Nets. Still, Orlando is just 1-9 in the last 10. They have the fourth worst overall record in the league. They are also playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Not an ideal spot. They still do have injuries. Anthony Ross and Isaac will be out, and Ennis and Michael Carter-Williams are both questionable. That's still a downgrade to them. But I mean, I don't think this is a terrible matchup if we look into the stats. We know that Boston, much of Boston's recent success has been due to their good offensive rebounding. They grade 3rd in offensive rebounding in the season, and the Orlando Magic actually keep opponents to the lowest offensive rebounding percentage in the entire league. Boston is also allowing the 6th highest field goal percentage defensively against mid-range shots, and as we know, the Orlando Magic put up the most mid-range shots in the entire league again. So I think while obviously Boston is the better team on both sides of the ball, and they have some huge advantages in this matchup. I think the rebounding, the good defensive rebounding, and the fact that Boston still is struggling to stop mid-range shots. I mean, yes, obviously it has been better in some games lately, but I mean their defense is just super on and off. I wouldn't trust them. I certainly wouldn't lay 8.5, 9 points with them. And again, what the Magic did against Brooklyn, I think they could repeat it here. I looked into the stats and they put up 43% of all their shots from 3 point range, which is, sorry, yeah, I misread that. So yeah, they made 43% of all their shots, which is yeah. Now, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I misread some stats here. Let's try that again. So yeah, 43% of all their shots came from three, and they shot 64% effective field goal percentage. I mean, it's not likely that they will repeat that again. But this is a team that's not shooting too many threes normally to start with. And yet they have been leaning on them in the last game. And basically they outshot the Brooklyn Nets, which is insane to hear, but that's what happened. And I think it could happen here. Celtics are relying a pretty high number of threes themselves, and they aren't the best perimeter defense. So yeah, I don't think you can trust the Celtics right now to cover this many points, and I would lean towards the Orlando Magic here. Not an easy bet to make. Not a bet that I will likely make, but I think the matchup overall is good for them, and this is just way too many points with a team that has been extremely inconsistent. Brooklyn Nets hosting the Washington Wizards. Brooklyn laying 8 points, 8.5. 8.5 is also getting kind of juiced towards them. So I think this will hit 9. I make it closer to 9. That's where my line is. There were some flat 8s out there in the morning. Those are quickly disappearing. If you look into the matchup and you dig deep, I think you will find some edges on the Brooklyn side. Mainly, their defense obviously has been getting better, but I looked into what were the recent improvements that they have been doing, and it's basically against mid-range shots. The field goal percentage they allow has been extremely elite, like 30 to 35% on average in the last 10, 15 games. In the last 5 games, they allowed the field goal percentage of 33, 39, 31, 30, and 35 percentage from mid-range. And we know that the Wizards are putting up the second most mid-range shots in the league, and their shot distribution has been so extreme that I almost couldn't believe it. So in the last 5 games, mid-range shot percentage from all of their shots attempted: 56%, 51%, 40%, 48%, 58%. So basically half or more than half of the shots from the Wizards come from mid-range, and the Nets have been getting way better at defending that department. Also, Brooklyn won 8 out of the last 10. Wizards lost 7 of the last 10. If we look at what was the other major pro on the Wizards lately, it's that they are drawing tons of free throws. They are drawing the third most in the league, but the Nets are giving up the ninth least. I think they will be able to limit the free points they are giving up. Brooklyn's offense is first in points per possession, first in effective field goal percentage, fourth in free throw rate. The Wizards' defense grades 24th, 25th, and 27th in these stats. Brooklyn is putting up the most threes in the league, ninth most threes, sorry. They're second in field goal percentage from downtown. The Wizards are relying the 6th highest field goal percentage against threes. So overall, a very good matchup for the Nets, I think, on both sides of the ball, to be honest. And I was looking at some stats to support the Wizards somehow, but I really cannot. I think the market is kind of grading them well right now. I think 8.5 is kind of fair. 9 would be a better line, in my opinion. You can still get an 8, by the way, on Bet365 and bookmaker, while Pinnacle is already at 8.5 and is used towards the Nets. I think 8 is a good look with the Nets here. Chicago Bulls at the Detroit Pistons. This is a game I'm skipping. My line here is 2.5. Bulls are laying 3 on the road here. Both of these teams have been super mediocre lately. As I said, I won't be backing the Pistons. We don't know if they will blow it up by trading Grant. They still have multiple injuries, not key guys, but they don't have any depth. They are a bottom 5 team in points per possession. Lost 7 of the last 10 games. Overall, I don't really like the matchup for them. They have a decent offensive rebounding overall, but the Bulls are giving up the second lowest percentage of offensive rebounding to their opponents. And yeah, I know that the overall Pistons have faced a tough schedule. They are still good at drawing free throws, but I just don't see the talent, and I think they will kind of fall apart and trend downwards in the second half of the season. Although on the other end, I mean, the Bulls are still they just lost 2 straight. They had some really easy matchups in the last 10 when they were home favorites against teams missing multiple of their better players, and they still couldn't win. It's not a team I'm trusting as a favorite, and it's not a team I'm trusting as a road favorite for sure. I think the line is right, so I'm skipping this game. Toronto Raptors at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Toronto laying 7.5 points. Another game I'm skipping. I mean, the Raptors lost 7 games in a row and lost 9 out of the last 10. They are 6 games under 500, and they are laying 7.5 points on the road against a team that has the second best offensive rebounding in the league, while the Raptors have the 29th best defensive rebounding. Also, Cleveland is getting to the paint and attacking the rim at the 3rd highest rate. They are dead last in efficiency, but the Raptors are a bottom 10 defense there. So we have the Raptors team who now has everyone back, but multiple guys caught COVID. They have been off for a while. Everyone has been looking pretty bad since they came back. 7-game losing streak, and they are laying 7.5 points on the road as a bad team, basically, against one of the better offensive rebounding teams and the team that is pushing where it hurts the most. I would still probably lean towards the Raptors. Cleveland allows the highest field goal percentage from 3-point range, and that's basically what matters with Toronto. They are putting up the 3rd most threes in the league, 9th highest field goal percentage. If you cannot defend the 3 against them, you are dead. And the Cleveland Cavaliers cannot defend the 3. But I mean, even if the Raptors win this, and they obviously likely win this, I don't think they will blow Cleveland out. Given how bad they look recently and how well Cleveland is still rebounding the ball offensively. So leaning towards Toronto because of the 3-point mismatch. They also force one of the highest turnover rates in the league, actually the most turnovers forced per game, and Cleveland is giving up the most per game. So yeah, obviously some huge edges there, but I mean, they are laying 7.5 points on the road. Also, Toronto is playing at Houston tomorrow. Should be obviously a winnable game against the team that has been losing 19 straight. I would probably guess that they will not play to cover this one, just to win and get out and get the W tomorrow. Also, they badly need it. So yeah, I don't think they will win by double digits, stuff like that. If any team is good at min-maxing their minutes and performance, is the Raptors. So yeah, I think Raptors win this by like 2-3 possessions, but this won't be a blowout. Philadelphia 76ers at the New York Knicks. Interesting game, one of the more difficult games to break down. Philly is playing they are on a back-to-back here. It's a road back-to-back. They don't have Embiid or Curry. They have been announced out for this game as well. They didn't play last night. But Simmons was also scratched last night after being tagged as probable. This is very interesting. We didn't get any info on his status so far. Obviously, no injury report overnight for the Sixers as they had the game last night. I'm thinking he will be tagged as questionable, and this will be a game time decision. But we also have some injuries on the other side, and it's quite a lot. So Rose and Rivers will be out for the Knicks, and we have Mitchell Robinson, who is questionable. He has been upgraded to questionable. Obviously, he has been out for a while. And Quickly and Payton are all both questionable. So I really cannot say anything about this matchup as Simmons on one side and Robinson, Quickly, and Payton on the other side. That's a 6-7 point swing. So if like Simmons is out and everyone is in for the Knicks, then obviously I want the Knicks. But if Simmons is in and everyone else is out on the Knicks side, obviously I want Philly. So yeah, even if Simmons is playing and we get Robinson, Quickly, and Payton all back, I make the Knicks a slight favorite. They are now +1, although the game is off the board, +1.5. On Bet365, I think this will stay around +1. I make them -1 if everyone is in. But as I said, we have 4 questionables, and with Philly, you don't even trust these early reports. If the early report comes out, I think whatever is said about Simmons, you will have to wait up until game time. He will be a game time decision, and then you will see. But if he's out and you can catch a cheap money line with the Knicks, with at least one of Quickly and Payton back and Robinson playing, I think Robinson is huge in this matchup, obviously, but the Knicks need the guards back at least as bad as, without Quickly, Payton, and Rose, they don't have any NBA level guards. Interesting matchup. Both of these are top 3 defensive teams. Likely we are seeing a lower paced game. Surely one that I'm going to watch tomorrow. But I really hope the Knicks get some bodies back. I would, if Simmons is announced out, and we get news that either of these New York guys will be playing, I will be probably taking the Knicks on the money line. I think this is a decent spot for them. And the Philly on the road on a back-to-back without Embiid, Curry, and Simmons, I think that's too much. LA Lakers at the Phoenix Suns. Big news from last night. Obviously, likely you heard LeBron James out. He is out indefinitely. Did get injured in last night's game. We don't have a timetable yet on his return. Anthony Davis still out for the Lakers, obviously. That is why the Suns are currently laying 8.5, almost 9 points. If you look at Bet365, this is the only major softbook dealing the game right now. I'm leaning towards the Lakers at this number. To me, the Suns aren't playing that basketball that will cover 10 points against the Lakers. Even with AD sitting, the Lakers have been attacking the rim at an extremely high pace, even higher than before, like top 3 rate. And they have the second highest field goal percentage around the rim, while the Suns are relying the 11th highest field goal percentage in the league. Overall, we are talking about the Suns. They are a top 5 defense overall, and anywhere on the court besides the paint. Their paint defense is their biggest weakness, and the Lakers will attack the paint, and they will push it where it hurts the Suns. Also, the Lakers are relying the lowest field goal percentage on mid-range shots. That's again important against the Suns, who are putting up the 9th most mid-range jumpers. Lakers also have a decent perimeter defense. Obviously the 2 best players are out, but they still have Schroeder, they still have Kuzma. Gasol status is something that needs to be checked. He was scratched last night. Conditioning, obviously he's coming back from a COVID related injury thing, so he has been out for a while. Just make sure he plays. But if this gets out of hand, and I think this one has a shot to get out of hand. The Suns have been getting some respect lately in the betting market. And obviously everyone wants to fade the Lakers without LeBron and Anthony Davis, but I think they will be able to stay within the number. And yeah, they would be my lean at 8.5. And I think if we get to 10, I will likely bet the Lakers here. Dallas Mavericks at the Portland Blazers. Again, rematch, interesting game. The spot is bad for the Blazers. Although their last three games have been from home at home, so they played this back to back at home, and the game before was at home. This is still their third game in 4 nights, fourth in six, and I just learned that it's also their seventh in 11 since the restart, which is super bad for a team that has basically no depth, and all the key guys are playing very high minutes. So based on just that, I will have to lean towards the Mavericks. First game played out just as I thought. Super high pace shooting contest. Dallas had a 66% effective field goal percentage. Portland had a 59% effective field goal percentage. So yeah, both teams have been shooting pretty well. As I said, even in the first matchup, even without Nurkic, the Blazers have a rebounding edge, and it came through. They had a 26% offensive rebounding in the first game, while the Mavs only had a 16%, which is pretty bad. Both of these teams are top 10 offenses and bottom 3 defenses. Obviously, the Blazers' offense is a bit better, while the Mavs' defense is a bit better, but I have these two rated super closely. I think the current line at Dallas minus 1.5 may be a bit short. Because of the spot, I would be leaning towards the Mavs, but it's really just two very similar teams playing zero defense, and basically you can flip a coin. One team will shoot a bit better and they will win the game by like 2 or 3 scores. That's about it. I don't have any real feelings against or for either of these teams. Obviously, the Mavs played one of the tougher schedules in the first half. Their second half schedule will be way easier. I think they are a team to back in some spots. Not sure this is the spot, although I kind of like fading the Blazers. They only faced the third easiest schedule in the first half. So their rating and everything is a bit higher where it should be. I think 1.5 is totally fair. Even I would say there is some value on the Mavericks, but I won't be getting involved here. All right, summing it up, not a lot of things that I like. If you can grab a cheap money line with Houston, I think that's a side. I will monitor the Nuggets Pelicans game. I'm leaning Pelicans at 6, but I would need a 7 to get involved. Also leaning Orlando at 8.5, but I won't be betting this. Brooklyn Nets, at 8. I really like the side. 8.5. So. Wouldn't play any juiced 8.5s. Or anything like that. Philly at the Knicks, this is a game to monitor the injuries. If Simmons is out and the Knicks are getting back a few pieces, I like them here. And I will be monitoring the Lakers Phoenix game also. 8.5 to 9 is the current spread. I think if this gets to 10, I will be getting a Lakers ticket. All right, this is it for today. Thanks for joining me. I will be back tomorrow at the same time. I will tweet out next week's schedule. We have like 10 days till baseball starts. Interesting times. As I said, I will kind of try to speed up the show a bit so we have time to baseball at the end when it starts finally in 10 days. All right, thanks for tuning in. See you guys tomorrow.